Vanaka. This is Ambassador Joseph Cella. In recent weeks, the United States Embassy in Suva has been delighted to present several women's business organizations with grants to assist in the development and mentoring of women entrepreneurs. These great organizations engage these strong women who have a great business idea or who are already selling products, teaching them business fundamentals or how to expand their businesses, and empowering all of them to become business leaders and inspirations to others. One of these great organizations, the Women's Entrepreneur Business Council, known as WEBC, recently profiled on Twitter one of their members, a mother, who is also an entrepreneur, and it introduced me to the word mumpreneur. As the son of a mumpreneur, I immediately thought of creating a new word, mumplomacy, and a form of people-to-people diplomacy by interviewing my own beloved mother, or mom, Janice Cella, to further fortify the bridges which exist between our countries, and by sharing her beautiful story to inspire other mumpreneurs. I hope you enjoy this interview. Binakavaka Levu, God bless.
I have Zoom stage fright.
Oh, you're a pro.
But I thought I'll do my best and give what information I have. Hopefully it'll help the ladies out over there.
Well, I think we should just have a conversation, and you're a natural and an inspiration to me. So as you know, you are the kickoff for something I've coined Mumplomacy, and it is in response to the great Fijian-based Women's Entrepreneur Business Council, WEBC, run by a friend, Eseta, and one of her members came up with the phrase mumpreneur. So these are the moms and the wives, married or otherwise, that out of just sheer genius ideas and hard work came up with various ideas that led to products, supply chains, and then sales, marketing, and into Fiji, but also around the world. So I thought no better way to build a bridge than in response to this than through you and your own beautiful entrepreneur story.
Well, I'd be glad to tell it, Joe.
That'd be great. Just why don't you just describe a little bit of your own journey as a mumpreneur, how it began and when.
Well, I had taken a class in 1978, and I really enjoyed it. I made a terrarium, and I felt like it was a step.
It's a glass. That's a standing glass structure.
Right.
Tabletop.
Right, and it hung on the wall. And so at the time, I really didn't have the room to be able to proceed with this, and I had 3 young children. So I thought I better wait till we move into a larger home and there'd be a space for me. And we moved into a new home in 1980, and this was the height of a deep recession here in the United States that really lasted until about 1983. And so I thought, well, I'm going to make some extra money because everything is down, just like everything is down now, and I'm going to create some things. So I never gave it a thought, if I create some things, who's going to have any money to buy it? Well, nonetheless, I made up a cover for a Kleenex box in stained glass. I made up a candle holder, and I made a butterfly that was like resting with the wings out. So I thought, I'm going to,
it was
right,
flat, yeah,
straight up, like basking in the sunlight. So I took all 3 products over there to the Reef restaurant that had a neat retail shop as you walk in the door. And I presented them.
That was a local restaurant near our home. A little.
Yes, about a half hour away.
Yeah.
And the lady was really perceptive and warm to me. And she said, you know, I just came back from a show in Chicago. And it was August, and people go there in August to buy things for the holidays. And she said, you know, we try to get ahead of the market and see what really is selling and what is new, because I have to make money and pay my bills too.
Right.
And she looked at the three things and she said, I'll tell you one thing. The only thing in Chicago was the butterfly. And heaven knows it needed a lot of work. So when she told me that, I thought, I'm going to test the market further. So I went home and I proceeded to make up 6 butterflies. And I thought, uh, I had a new idea. Your dad came up with the idea of putting the wings up, put his elbows up, and said, you should get the wings up. Well, I thought, great idea. So he would be in flight, and I worked hard at the body. I made it in copper foil to begin with and fed the solder in. Then I made it in an impression. I had a gentleman make me an impression of the same size butterfly I need. And then I would just feed it in with solder, and he made indentations for the antennae. So that held automatically.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're looking good, and I could use them for a mirror or a window. And I'm going to take it up to some place that's got some traffic. And that would be Zender's, about 2 hours away from here. They serve a chicken dinner, and they had a gift shop. So now I've got location, and I've got people
That's in
that
Frankenmuth, Michigan, right?
Frankenmuth, Michigan. Yes. And I met with the owner, and she is the buyer of the Frankenmuth gift shop. And she was really impressed with the butterflies. And she's saying, we've got to get more handcrafted things in here. We've got to do better. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, this might be something. So she ordered 3 dozen for the next week. So there I was, for sure. There's something about these butterflies. They can be together in a gift shop. They migrate together, and maybe I'm just onto something. So with that,
And
the
those,
next question.
how did they sell? I mean, your first products, whether at the Reef or at Zender's, how well did they sell? And when did you have a sense things were moving and this was indeed a good business model and product?
Well, when they called me back from Zender's, because I was just there. I hadn't been back to the Reef to show them the new products for whatever reason. I thought I'll go to somebody else. And so I thought, when they called a week later, they wanted 3 dozen. And when those sold, I think within a couple of weeks, and they wanted 3 dozen more, I really felt this is really going to be difficult. And the only way, because I'm hand cutting them in the basement, and I thought, I've got to do something faster. So I ordered
So you're getting into the idea. So the challenge of an entrepreneur you're launching. So you have an idea, and then taking that product idea to a business model, production line, supply chain, marketing. What did you find? I guess the most difficult in that from the genesis to where you're at and beyond.
Well, I had to speed things up. And that meant I had to order from Bilco a glass cutting machine. And we had 3 different products. So this machine, unlike my using my hand for pressure, would be the pressure. And we would do, and it was a trial and error. We would cut all left wings at the top, and then all right wings at the top, and then it would follow suit with the bottom. And then now we had an electric foiler. Before, we had to wrap each wing in copper foiling. And now we had a copper foiling machine, and that really helped. And we had a mold made for the body. So we had a company, when I took the butterfly that was exacting that I needed, took it to this company, and it's like making bullets. It had a pot of molten metal, and you'd open up the mold and pour it in, and out would drop a butterfly body.
And you were doing this all in our basement on Richwood Lane, right?
Right.
Next to the laundry room.
Exactly. So it
Great.
was really important. I was having problems because I would take the suction cup from the back of the butterfly and I'd wrap a wire around it, twisting it, and then I'd affix it to the back of the butterfly. And in affixing it, it was sent to a plater. I have the butterfly here. I don't know if you can see it. And
Yeah.
it was to be, this is the foil all the way around it. And everything had to be plated to keep it and preserve it. This is 30 years old. And so that really
Shining like new.
uh, went faster. And they plated it in chrome. I would take it to a plater, like they plate things for cars, and they would hook it up on hooks and drop it into a chemical solution with chrome chips, and it would adhere. But my big problem with the suction cups,
Can you
with
lift it up,
the
Mom?
wire,
Can you lift it up? There you go.
yep, the big problem with the wire on the back that was twisted behind the suction cup
Mm-hmm.
was that when it went to the plater, it changed colors and
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't as palatable as it was.
Mm-hmm.
So when I ordered the suction cups from some man in New York, he said, "Let me see what you're doing. Mail me one." And I did. He said, "Hey, do you like those wires in the back?" And I said, "No." He said, "Well, use a sheet metal screw." So that really helped out in the manufacturing and sent it to the platers because he said, "You'll be able to screw the suction cup on and preserve it." And at the same time, we were having a problem that if the window's hot, you could put some oil on it and keep it uh, so that it wouldn't dry out in the sunshine. And so there were different things to really work out. We had to have a lift made so that when we were soldering the butterflies, they would fit in this form that I had made and it would be easy to work on and to solder. That was a difficulty there, was working those things out so that it would go faster for the market. So I was hedging that they would sell fast, and the fact that now they're calling back from Zenders for 3 more dozen, and the owner really loved them, so that really helped out there. Um, so that's where
How did you go about the sales and marketing of the butterflies? I guess thereafter, once you had an indication that things were moving, I guess you're at the point of protecting your product and scaling up at the same time and
well, I felt
brand
like,
awareness and
you
so
know,
forth.
people loved it and they were selling, and I better protect the work and from anyone copying it. So in the United States, the Library of Congress has uh, a copyright division for artistic work. So I applied for that and had to fill out paperwork, and I was told you had to have a picture taken of all the dimensions of the butterflies, all 3 of them, to see if there was anything on the market. And if there wasn't, they would issue a copyright to me, which they did. But they told me I could go ahead and list a copyright sign, which is a C in a circle. I had to have a name of the business, and it
Mm.
was going to be Fantasies and Glass Studio. And I had to have an alternate name, and it was going to be Figs. That was the initial of Fantasies and Glass Studio. So that's what I had. And I had a stamp made for the suction cup. It was a C in a circle, Figs, in the year 80. So that protected it. And I had to have another thing. So we had stickers on the butterfly. So that made it easier for me to feel safe in putting the product out there that it wasn't going to be copied.
I recall you also had like an imprint, I think, if I recall, on the back side of the underside of the wings, if I'm not mistaken, where you was
Yes, I did. I did do that for a time. And then I thought, well, I'll do it with a suction cup, but only because I had the suction cup that would come off now. So I stepped it up and put it there instead of the back of it.
hmm So so then what happened from there?
Well, now I can just assume this now, and I was too busy then, that we got a call from the Chicago showroom, and a woman uh, saw the butterflies and Zenders and wanted to sell it at the Chicago Trade Show. And coincidentally, this is the place the lady went at the reef, the first lady I went to see. So that was really encouraging to me. Then also a representative, Paul Russell, saw the butterflies. And in looking further, Chicago was selling, Paul Russell was selling, and looking back at our records that I still have from 30 years ago, from the Chicago Trade Show, we had a record of $3,501.22, and Paul Russell in September had a sales tab, an invoice of $2,915.52. And sometimes this would overlap and really be well over $5,000 a month. So, as in business goes, money comes in and money goes out. And, but we
So
were
if you could
selling.
just, if 1 second on that, Mom. So $1980, so like $1 in 1980 right now is $4.50. So if you basically take 4 times that number, uh, you know, that's basically just say three, just say the the 3,500,
3,500.
right? Just say
And
call it 3 times 4, that would be 12,000 a month. But you were tracking at some point 5,000
right.
a month, which was 20,000 a month in 20.
Well, that's just from my records dating back to 30 years ago.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
That's all I have, here. And information, if it would help anyone in any way. The product was selling, and at times I felt like it was chasing me, uh, but with all the positive feedback that we were getting.
Yeah. What was so as a mumpreneur, what was the I guess what was the zenith? What was the high point of, I guess, the greatest affirmation that you're here, this is meant to
Well,
be providence, destiny?
well, the high point of making the butterflies is that we would get fan mail, and people would comment about the workmanship and the quality,
Really,
and each
you
day
never told me that story.
really had to be there. Um, we received letters from Castle Air Force Museum. I still got the stationery here in Atwater, California, and having seen the butterflies, wanted us to do specific work for them. They want us to do a old Ginny, a swept wing jet, and also a hot air balloon for their museum, and any other ideas that we might have. So here we were just trying to keep up with orders, and we've got people wanting us to do other things. So
Breaking news
with
right now, Mom, to me, 40 years later. I didn't
the
know that.
Lincoln,
I didn't know that part of the story either. That's fascinating.
the Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center, located in Springfield, Illinois, wrote that uh, their main emphasis on nature and wildlife, and they love the beautiful butterflies that would fit right in. So I thought it would be really great. There's the home city of President Lincoln in Springfield, Illinois, and us to be filling the needs and making butterflies for their nature park. I thought that was great.
So
Um,
it was really selling itself. You had a good team. So I guess you had at some point you had to hire and train, identify prospective employees, hire them,
right.
train them, and so forth. Can you tell a little bit about that story? And if I'm not mistaken, they were lovely women. I still have very fond memories of Lupe and Gloria, and they're just great human beings and hard workers, and again, mumpreneurs in their own right, just helping be a part of the team. You had an all-female team.
Right. Well, the high point of making the butterflies was the fact I told you that they sold themselves, but we needed a manufacturer because they were selling so quickly. So I found a manufacturer and he said he would manufacture, but in Croswell, Michigan. So this meant I would have to travel to his factory, train the women that he had working there on how to put the butterflies together. And it began in August, and I had to drive there 40 minutes and, of course, drive home. And I trained the women. And so he's going to manufacture it. He says, January 1st, 1980. Count on me. What do you know about manufacturing? You're just a woman.
Oh boy.
And I thought, okay, I'll train them. And I was hoping to be part of it. But with all of the interest coming in, it really needed a manufacturer to go faster.
Just to
Um,
scale up to that next level, really, out of the basement where you were working with yourself. Remind me who is working in the basement with you?
Charlene Corrales,
Just friends.
Connie,
Yeah.
yeah, friends, immediate friends that were working there. Um, so there we were.
Y-
We had our high points, lots of fan mail. I've still got stacks of them.
That's great.
People saying they're beautiful. You know, what else are you doing? I can really use them, getting a lot of feedback from customers. And I'd get phone calls from grown men that say they want them for their girlfriend.
Wow.
And so I would bundle it up, and send it. And that was great too. It gave us encouragement. But if you're doing something, there is encouragement. You just have to keep at it.
So what was what would you say the low point, Mom, would be? You were scaling up, things were moving. I remember scenes of, George Gerlinger coming in to accelerate the glass cutting even further and storing and
Right.
stacking racks and racks of the butterflies for shipment on the egg cartons, flats. And then
That's their shipping home. That was it.
yeah.
The low point came from the manufacturer that I was working for and training his people. It came on January 1st, 1981. He told me on that day, the first of the year, don't you worry. We're going to that show in Chicago that you have listed, and I'll start manufacturing. And he used that date, I don't know why, but he had a heart attack and died on that day.
Yeah.
So that was really a low point, and I had to bring everything back to Richmond, and I rented a room to produce the butterflies.
And you had
And the women,
you had, I'm sorry for interrupting. You had the gentleman, I think, in Chicago who had demand of up to 1,000 to 2,000 a week at the time, if I recall.
right, and that is the next point. That was the low point. Representative Paul Russell wanted us to produce 350 butterflies a day. He was branching out into some states in the West. And then another store wanted him to do 1,000 to 2,000 a week. Now these are low points because now my manufacturer had passed away. I moved back to Richmond and was using a room. And this being so, um, I thought I really need a manufacturer. And it just happened that a gentleman there, having been in this large building, said, "Well, I'll manufacture it. You've got the people, I've got the room, I'll do this." And so that was, I thought, a good thing. But what really happened was that he put the business in the ground in about 5 months.
Hmm.
He just didn't
Was,
realize
was
all
it a
that was
matter of
involved.
just, if I recall, I mean, not naming any names, but busy man. Comes from a wonderful family, but he was a very bright engineer working in an entirely different sector. Just thought he would give it a go. We remained dear friends over,
Yes,
but it was just the challenge of maybe two disparate things under one roof, and the nature of what you did from our basement, it needed that concierge treatment, that TLC, and very hands-on approach, right?
well, I look back to the years that the Shark Tank has been on in the United States,
Yeah.
and that consists of um, all the men and women with the resources and the contacts to be able to help entrepreneurs out. And that's a basis of the whole program that's on weekly. Everyone loves it. So what happens is that someone enters the big doors and they go and they present their product and what they're doing. And so the sharks fight amongst them to see who is going to get this business and make a percentage of the business.
Right.
And that's what I really needed
Yeah.
back 30 years ago.
Yeah. Sure.
Somebody to take hold and have the connections, and it's who you know and communication that really is everything in life.
Well, your grandchildren may take over the torch. We'll see. Maybe your daughter and one of your sons. We'll see. Uh, what would you have done differently that you could share with the mumpreneurs here and elsewhere?
Well, I had one gentleman that wanted to put the whole thing in his basement, and I should have gone with him because he knew manufacturing. His folks manufactured Italian foods,
All
sent
right.
it around the world. They
Mhm.
went, through everything to make it happen. He would have been the person to do it. And I should have just gone into his basement. And I thought, well, this guy is going to manufacture it. But I should have just given him a chance to do it.
Sure.
And because manufacturing, I would have done that differently.
But maybe many strong women leaders out here in Fiji and all of the island nations I'm accredited to. Uh, some are married, some are no longer married. The phrase "solo mom" is out there. They are very resilient, and I know part of your decision was that you were having to juggle the roles and responsibilities, the vocation of a wife, a mother, and as well as an entrepreneur. And I know that was a bit of a challenge for you as well,
It was.
but remarkably sacrificial and really a force of nature to behold in all that you did with the butterflies and fantasies and glass studio. Um, what would you what advice would you dispense again to the mumpreneurs here in Fiji, Mom, and the other island nations I'm accredited to?
Well, I would speak with good people that have already done this, or people that are successful and for direction and support. There's no reason not to seek advice. My mother said you could always ask. The only thing they could say is no. So you just have to step forward and feel that others are there to help you out. Um, and who would think that we were so successful in a knee-deep recession
Right.
with the butterflies?
Yeah.
So you really have to give it a try, and you just otherwise you're going to have regrets. Like what would have happened if I just would have given this a try? And I think that's very important for all of us.
Yeah. Pearls of wisdom there, Mom. Uh, so if you're speaking with a mumpreneur here in Fiji and is struggling, what would you tell her?
Well, some of the same things, ask for advice. You're starting out. Um, I think struggling is part of the process, and take comfort that in talking to other people who've succeeded. And our job in life is to be there for one another, I know. And I know there are people out there.
Well, it's
And
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
to believe in yourself and do it a day at a time with good people that are going to be there and want you to succeed.
Well, the WebC is really an exemplar for that. We at the embassy have provided them with a grant to do this very work, to train those strong women leaders, helping them with products and with women who are already in this sector and successful entrepreneurs, and really giving of themselves and their time and insights and expertise as they are, already established in that realm. Any other reflections or observations?
Well, I know
Like
it's all
to
in
share?
communication. I have to give credit where credit is due. Each of the butterflies that we made, and this being the small one. It's a Michigan monarch butterfly. Uh, we sold this retail for $6, and that was 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches.
And that was in $1980.
Pardon?
In 1980, that was $6 for the.
It was.
So
And
$24 today.
well, and then the medium we sold, it was 3.5 by 3.5, and that was $7. And the large one was 5 inches by 5 inches. And you say, that was really a big butterfly. It doesn't seem authentic. But we got a call from someone. It's always a connection, always a communication. It's a
Communication,
high-end store.
right?
Pardon?
Communication is key.
Oh, it is. This lady called from Grosse Pointe, and she wanted us to design a butterfly, having seen the other two, that was 5 inches for their 30-foot trees in Grosse Pointe for people who have a lot of money. So anyway, I found out that there are butterflies in South America in the rainforest that are 5 inches and 8 inches. So we made a copy of the 5-inch one, and we came up with the idea about putting 2 wires on the back that would cross on the bow. And then we had some that would come in on fish line from the ceiling, and they had little clips on the bottom with silk flowers that they're going to come and help trim this tree. And it already has silk flowers on the tree, along with the other ones that were just resting there, so to speak.
Wow,
So
sure.
it was really a gorgeous sight to see. And of course, people there had the money to be able to do it.
How many butterflies did you sell for that one tree? Do you happen to remember?
I think at the time it might have been 12 and maybe 4 coming in on wires on the finish line. And so, with selling retail at that price, they just marked it up 100%. So it was selling for $12, the $6 one, and then the other one was selling for $14.99, and the large was selling for $11.99. And if you sell directly to your customer, you make more money. And I think that's what a lot of people really want to do. And another idea with this communication, one gentleman had seen the butterfly, and he said, I study the butterflies, and I have to tell you, they're solar powered. And we said, well, what do you mean by solar powered? Is that they don't move unless the sun is shining. And if it's a cloudy day, they lay on a rock and try to get the warmth from the rock, and then they can move on. So with that, we decided to put the butterfly on a rod. And so we put it on a rod and put it in a planter. And with that, the sun would refract onto putting sparkles on the plant. And it was above the plant sometimes, and it would reflect the butterfly itself above on the wall. So that was our solar powered, because they really are solar powered. It's kind of an endearment with the butterflies.
It's a very special product, Mom, from a very special woman.
Well, the other ideas that came, maybe other people can use this. What are they making in the people that you work with that do bridal bouquets? They wanted to put the butterfly on the bridal bouquet, use it as a gift for a bridesmaid, put on cakes. They're good on mirrors and on windows, whatever anyone wants to do with suction cups, and know that you put a screw on the back and solder it, it will stay.
Yeah.
And one thing to use, I'm sure out there, is door walls, glass door walls. It's meant to be a precaution, anything you could put on it.
Humans or birds flying the other way, I think.
Pardon?
For people walking towards the door wall, or birds on the exterior who often fly into those.
On the interior, walking out, many people would hit it and really be seriously injured. In fact, Mrs. Weller did just that down in Florida. Walked into a door wall, and was saying too, if a butterfly had been there, I wouldn't have done that.
Well, Mom, I really appreciate the generosity of your time on a Sunday in our beloved home state of Michigan. I look forward to sharing this with WebC, and maybe they'll ask to have a live session with you, maybe a dialogue informally, where they can you can just dialogue and get into a little bit more depth and provide them some advice and counsel on whatever they may be working through.
Well, I just wanted to tell them that uh, they can be making stationery, you know, themselves. I don't know if that would sell out there with dried flowers,
Sure.
and um, using calligraphy on there to use any type of slogan they wanted. They can make a cover for a cell phone. And I always thought it'd be a great idea to be able to open up my purse and a light would go on so I could see what's inside.
Well, maybe we should have a separate live session with WebC gathered at the in our conference room here in the coming weeks. I'm sure they'd be very much interested in having that rolling, freewheeling brainstorming session. There are a lot of great
Well,
entrepreneurs, very strong women leaders, and budding entrepreneurs and long-standing entrepreneurs. Any of those could be a great fit with.
that would be great, Joe.
Mom, I love you.
I love you too. Take care.
All right, thanks. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for all your time and helping out WebCs and their great mompreneurs.
Well, we'll see what happens. Take care.
All
God
right,
bless
Mom,
you.
and thank you for inaugurating Mumplomacy.
Okay. Take care.
Are you, Mom?
Bye-bye.
You're a
Yes.
Mumplomat.
Oh, that's a way to be. And I'm so happy to have been able to do this with you, Joe.
All right, I love
Thank
you,
you.
Mom. Take care.
Love you.
Bye-bye.